Whenever someone points out that feminism is a toxic and destructive philosophy, some feminist always says, that's not real feminism. Real feminism is something other than the toxic and destructive philosophy feminism actually is. So what is feminism really? Feminism is a sore point that emerges from time to time as a result of the relations between men and women. Now wait, that's herpes. No, it's feminism. Now hold on, that's herpes, right? Or feminism. Now what's the difference? Let's move on. Ever since time began, human beings have found their chief consolation and joy in the love between a man and a woman, and their chief purpose and meaning in the indispensable care and tenderness of being a mother and homemaker, and the responsibility and authority of being a father and provider. Feminism is an attempt to put an end to all that so that unhappy neurotics can parade around in stupid pink hats screaming about something, God knows what. Feminists feel that for too long, men have gotten away with having sex with women and getting them pregnant and marrying them and then making sure they and their children have a roof over their head and food to eat, even if it means the man has to work until his fingers bleed and compromise his dreams and principles so that his children can have the all-important presence of a full-time mother in their lives. And it's just not fair to women for some reason. Feminists believe that men are grotesque, foul-mouthed, ill-mannered bullies who treat women as if they were nothing more than vaginas, and they feel a feminist can do all that just as well as any man. Feminists are angry that some men treat sex as a fleeting, meaningless physical pleasure, and they feel that women should treat sex the same way and then wake up feeling disgusted with themselves and then blame men for their sense of shame, not to mention their incurable STD and the baby they have to abort, so that now they'll spend the rest of their lives distorting their own sense of morality in order to avoid facing up to what they've done. Then everything will be fair. Feminists believe that women and men have exactly the same capabilities, and it's only societal oppression that causes men to be better at math and science and women to be better at knowing that a 12-year-old has been doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing even before he comes through the freaking door, for heaven's sake. Feminists are sick and tired of being treated like children who need a man to take care of them and demand to be treated like children who need the government to take care of them. Feminists believe that men have created a world of unfettered capitalism, unbridled aggression, and constant warfare, and they want to fight that by making money, acting tough, and serving in combat. In general, feminists believe that men are bad and women are good, and women should be men and will then be bad, which will then be good. So basically, feminism is completely irrational. Women. Trigger warning. I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shape, tipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
All right, if there's anyone left I haven't offended, we're back, and it's the Mailbag Day. It's Mailbag Day today, and we will be answering all your questions, changing your life possibly for the better, but that comes after the break. You'll have to come over to thedailywire.com if you're listening on Facebook or on YouTube, and while you're there, you could just subscribe for a lousy $8 a month, and then you could ask questions and have all your problems solved. We also have to talk about stamps.com. I love stamps.com because otherwise you got to go to the post office. I always had this thing. Post office is like the suburbs. People are always saying, the post office, the suburbs. And I grew up in the suburbs. I always kind of liked them. I thought the suburbs were really nice. They were really pleasant. And I like the post office. They do a good job, but I don't want to go there. I do not want to go there because I don't want to have to be anywhere in the middle of the day when I'm at home working. I don't want to have to go out and go there. I don't want to wait online. That is the most important thing. I do not want to wait online. And people still, I write books. I write novels for young adults, and I get these letters, written on notebook paper from school, and with a pen and all this stuff. And you got to answer those, right? You can't just leave them lying around. So I got to get stamps, stamps.com. It brings the post office right into your house, into your computer. You can order the stamps online. It's really simple. You can print them right out, print them right onto the envelope, print them onto labels. It's so much easier, and it's so much easier than that thing whose name I keep forgetting. It's a postal meter, right? A postal meter. Yeah, it's so much easier than that because the whole thing is right there. And right now, if you use Stamps.com, you can enjoy the stamp service with a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale without long-term commitments. Got to have that scale so you can figure out how much stamps to go. You just do the whole thing at your desk. I mean, that can't be any more convenient than that. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Klavan, K-L-A-V, as in Victor, A-N. Stamps.com, and enter Klavan, and you will get a 4-week free trial plus postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com. You never have to go to the post office again. So as we're coming in, there was this, big headline on Drudge that Steve Bannon was out at the National Security Council. I'm going to wait to comment about this because my spidey sense tells me this is a minor story, that they didn't need him there anymore with Mike Flynn gone to balance the whole Russia of it all. We'll find out tomorrow what that's about. I think they're going to play it. It's going to be a big story today, big shakeup and everything, and then by tomorrow they're going to realize it was just a minor shift. I don't even think he went. I think he went once. He attended one meeting, and then Flynn was gone, and he didn't have to do that anymore. So let's cover the important stuff. Barry Manilow has come out as being gay. No. I know, you could have knocked me over with a feather, I mean, next you're going to tell me it was like Richard Simmons, you're going to tell me like Oscar Wilde was gay. He said he hadn't come out until now because he didn't want to disappoint his fans, because they would have been like, what? He's gray? What do you mean he's gray? He's a young man still. Why should he be gray? Okay, I don't know. Anyway, I think it would be much more exciting if he came out and admitted he was Taylor Swift. It's like, that would account for both of their music, I think. What was the other one? Melania's arms are crossed. They put out an official portrait of her, and her arms are crossed in the place. So the Boston Globe actually ran an entire op-ed about what it means that her arms are crossed, because like Trump, nothing that a Trump does can be possibly right. They forgot that John F. Kennedy's arms are crossed, and that famous portrait of his, looking down and all that stuff. Anyway, but the big one, my favorite story, was this Pepsi commercial. Have you seen this Pepsi commercial?
Yeah.
So the Pepsi commercial, I'll describe it because I know that some people are listening and not watching it. The Pepsi commercial, it has this demonstration, and you can't tell what the demonstration is for. It's for love and peace. It's for love and peace. It's a meaningless demonstration. And Kendall Jenner, is that her name? So is she formerly Bruce's daughter? Is that what she is? So
She still is.
Yeah, well, but I didn't say he's formerly a daughter, but he's formerly Bruce, right? That's like, that's all right, man. So this is Kendall Jenner. She's a model, and you know that she must have a lot of psychological problems because her father is now sort of her mother, and she's in this thing. This big protest is going by, and Kendall Jenner is in a blonde wig, and she's doing a photo shoot, right? And a kind of, good-looking guy kind of join the activism and all this stuff, and Kendall Jenner heroically takes off her blonde wig and wipes off her lipstick and joins the march, and there's a Muslim woman in there for some reason. I have no idea what she's doing. She's taking pictures, and she picks up a Pepsi, because it's a Pepsi commercial, and she hands it to the kind of grim-faced cop, the riot cops who are out there protecting people, and she hands it to him, and he takes a sip of Pepsi, and he smiles, and everybody cheers. Okay. So the right hated this because it romanticizes all these marches and protests, and the left hated it because it trivializes all these marches and protests, because it actually was an accurate depiction of the marches and protests as being meaningless, confusing groups of people kind of parading their virtue and all this stuff. And it makes it all about Kendall Jenner and Pepsi. I love this commercial because it illustrates the genius of capitalism. Capitalism, I've always noticed this, capitalism is like the Blob. Do you remember that old horror movie with Steve McQueen, and the blob would come and eat people, and then they would digest it, and the blob would get bigger, right? So that's what capitalism does. If you're a communist and you're going like, power to the worker, we all workers unite, they'll just make a commercial. Have a Coke, have a Pepsi. They don't care. They don't care what you think, as long as you drink their cola. It's all about hot Kendall Jenner and the Pepsi. It's like, you're protesting. Have a cola. We don't care if you're trying to bring down the government. Wait, just have a cola. That's all that matters. So I loved it. It was like capitalism at its very best, trivializing all the things that people get angry about, just as long as you buy the soda. So anyway, this is the news that people were talking about yesterday. And it reminded me of a conversation I had once with Douglas Adams, the guy who wrote the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Just before Adams died, he moved to Santa Barbara, and I became acquainted with him. And when I first met him, I said, how do you like living in California, because he was here. They were making his film into a movie, which unfortunately didn't turn out very well. But they were making his film into a movie. I said, how do you like being in California? And he said, well, it's fine except for the news blackout, because for Europeans, when they come to America, they are stunned that we never cover anything but ourselves. And this is true. I mean, I remember when I was in Afghanistan, got caught in some, transport place, this gigantic hangar, and I was there for like hours and hours on end, and I saw Fox. There was 2 TVs, and one had Fox News and one had CNN, and it was the election. It was just the election. Every minute, something else about the election. And I thought, there are other countries. But people in Europe don't understand that our country is so big. Our country is so big that covering Kansas for people, these guys who never leave New York and LA, that's a big deal. Covering Europe, forget about it. I mean, how often do you even hear about what's going on? Do we even know, the French politics? We'll hear about Marine Le Pen, but we don't really know the issues over there. They know because their countries are so small, so they know the news that's taking place. So I have to bring this up, and I hate to bring it up because it's so unpleasant, but we have to talk about this thing in Syria that happened, because everything that's happening here, I mean, this is what bothers me about this. Everything that's happening here, this Russia conspiracy stuff, and all the hysteria about that, all the refugee problems that people are having that are toppling governments, really Trump's election itself, which was so keyed in to illegal immigration, all of it goes back to Syria. And it goes back to the fact that Obama messed this situation up. Now, Obama is not to blame for Syria. Bashar Assad is to blame for Syria. The bad guys are the guys who pull the trigger are to blame, but he sure messed this thing up big time. So yesterday, evidence came out that they had used, again, poison gas, nerve gas, and they dropped it on this town, and they killed at least 58 people, 11 of them children. The pictures coming out look like they could be from, the Holocaust. I mean, just absolute atrocity and disaster. And Trump and Sean Spicer came out, and they said what is true. They blamed it on Obama. Here's Spicer. It's just audio, but here's his statement.
Today's chemical attack in Syria against innocent people, including women and children, is reprehensible and cannot be ignored by the civilized world. These heinous actions by the Bashar al-Assad regime are a consequence of the past administration's weakness and irresolution. President Obama said in 2012 that he would establish a quote-unquote red line against the use of chemical weapons, and then did nothing. The United States stands with our allies across the globe to condemn this intolerable act.
So this is now. Let's go back just quickly over this. Everything Spicer said is true. Obama blew the Middle East. He really did. Not just pulling out of Iraq like that, but what happened, you'll remember, is that Hillary Clinton basically convinced Obama to go into Libya and overthrow Gaddafi, and it turned into an absolute disaster. That was what Obama said was the biggest mistake of his presidency, the worst thing that happened in his presidency. The protests in Syria started out as peaceful protests. They weren't even trying to overthrow the regime. They were just saying, give us some more civil rights. And Obama was kind of like not going to do anything. He didn't give them any support, really didn't stand up for them at all. And then Assad responded to those protests with absolute brutality, total killing, torturing, the whole thing. And then there was this kind of weak Assad must go. But we didn't do anything. Right? And Obama said, well, famously, he said, well, we'll do something if they use poison gas. I mean, that would be a red line. So let's play that quote.
We have been very clear to the Assad regime, but also to other players on the ground, that a red line for us is we start seeing a whole bunch of chemical weapons moving around or being utilized.
And then, of course, they continued to use chemical weapons, dumping chlorine gas on people. I mean, this is the stuff that they poisoned people with in World War I. This is why we have treaties. And people said, well, what about, so now you got to do something, right? What about the red line? Here was Obama's response.
First of all, I didn't set a red line. The world set a red line.
Okay, so the dog set a red line. The dog ate my homework, and he set a red line, and it's not my fault. It's like that John Belushi thing. It's not my fault. Nothing's my fault. Putin saw this. The world saw it. all these bad actors poured into Syria and started, killing people. ISIS, all the terrorists, everybody's in there. And basically, this gave Russia an excuse to go in and pretend that they were fighting ISIS. Well, what they were really doing was just slaughtering Russia and Iran, Obama's good pal Iran, who he's helped on the path to getting nuclear weapons. So now Russia is establishing, Russia who was kicked out, the Soviet Union was basically kicked out of the Middle East. Now Russia has got a presence there again. They're helping Iran. They're killing all these people on the scam that they're fighting ISIS. What they're really fighting is anybody who is going to bring down Assad. I'm going to pause here for a moment because we're going to have to say goodbye. But before we do, let us talk about a new sponsor, Policygenius. I was just talking to these folks yesterday. Policygenius is not about foreign policy. It is about life insurance policies. And, life, especially young people, do not think about life insurance policies. I got a life insurance policy when I was really, really young. And the reason is it's cheap. When you get it young, it's cheap, and by the time you need it, by the time it becomes something that, you got a family, you want to make sure they're protected, then you got it, then it's in your pocket. And the thing about Policygenius is what it is it's a life insurance marketplace. So you can go in there and you will get the best the best life insurance policies laid out for you. Absolutely. They don't take sides. They don't, they don't sell you anything. There's no salesman. They just show you which ones you can get. It's really easy, and you follow it through, and they will show you what kind of life insurance you can get. And people have discovered that they can get a savings of 40% by shopping around, by comparing one life insurance policy to another. It's a big deal. I know it's like, especially if you're young, you're thinking life insurance, I don't need this, it's just an extra expense. But it's not true. It is an actual investment. It is actually money well spent. And one day when you actually, when it actually becomes important, you'll find that you've got it, and you've got it in your pocket, and it's paid for, and you don't have to worry about it so much anymore. There are 35 million U.S. families that have no life insurance. They have no life insurance, and it's not a good thing. It really isn't. So just go on and try it. Go on to Policygenius, policygenius.com, and try it out. If you go on today, you can save over 40% off other prices for life insurance, because the life insurers are competing. This is not a sale. It's just when life insurers compete for your business, you can save as much as 40% off. Just go on policygenius.com, policygenius.com. No jargon, no sales pressure, no hassle. Life insurance made easy. Free quotes, zero hassle, peace of mind. Don't wait. Go to policygenius.com today. Okay, we got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube, but the mailbag is coming up, so come on over to thedailywire.com.